With the preview, and Heather, you and I were both at the Unidome last year when these two played a terrific game in the state semifinals. Probably more of the same tonight.
Yeah, I think it is going to be, John, and of course that was a great game, and in fact that was one of several close games that Dowling had to come from behind to win during the playoffs last year, and the Ames Little Cyclones just happened to be one of their victims. But it's a new year, and it's time for a rematch between these two teams. The Class 4A state playoff semifinals, 1995. Ames held a 13-point lead over Dowling with just over 3 minutes to play. But the Maroons staged a comeback normally reserved for movies, scoring 2 touchdowns on their way to eliminating the Little Cyclones 35-34. Ames quarterback Scott Stevermer remembers the ride home.
It was a tough loss for us to take. I can remember the whole ride home. All I wanted to do was just get back out there and prove ourselves again.
Stevermer gets his chance tonight when the two teams hook up again. Dowling coach Matt Dillon is new to the rivalry, but is well aware of what happened last year.
The thing that people forget is Ames beat Dowling in the first game of the season last year during the regular season up there. So, you know, we've got to work that out for us, and it should be a great challenge.
It is a good rivalry for us. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that we'd rather beat right now than Dowling, and so I'm sure they feel the same way. It's two good programs right now that are going head-to-head, and, you know, just may the better team win.
And I think that's usually the way things work out. By the way, John, it is homecoming here in Ames, and they have like 4-ply quilted toilet paper hanging from the trees all around here. This is pretty impressive stuff. Of course, we're going to have all the highlights of the game as well, not just toilet paper, coming up on the news tonight at 10 o'clock. John?
That is very impressive, Heather. Thank you very much for that report. Now, the Ames game will...
From the News 5 sports team, this is Sports Extra. Sports Extra is brought to you by Huey Ford.
Welcome to another big Friday of high school football on Sports Extra. We have 13 games on the docket tonight. Let's get it going with a terrific matchup up north. Third-rated Ames against fourth-rated Dowling. And again, the fireworks are flying when these two teams get together. Dowling would strike first in the game after the play-action fake. Ben Ramont going to P.J. Hughes for the touchdown. Nice catch. 7-0 Maroons at that point. Ames would score to tie, but then Joe Essie on the option gets loose for the touchdown, 9 yards, and the Maroons back in front 14-7. Now, some great defense by Ames. Clint Bell's on the interception. He'll return it 44 yards to set up the tying touchdown for Ames. And then in the third quarter, check this out, it is Aaron Greving doing what he does best. The open field running by the super sophomore. He's been terrific all season. This a 55-yard touchdown run. Great balance. 21-17 Ames at that point. The lead has seesawed back and forth. Dowling now up 31-28. 4 minutes to go in the game. It has been a double ding-donger. I think it would be safe to say that the kids at Roosevelt are fired up about their football team. Homecoming for the Riders tonight, but Hoover was ready to play too. That's Tim Retch finding a big hole up the middle, 40-yard touchdown, and the Huskies cut Roosevelt's lead to 7-6. But back came the Riders. Quarterback Joe Austin on the play-action fake, and he'll find Jamiel Lang. Perfectly thrown ball, 19-yard touchdown to make it 14-6 Roosevelt. And at last report, the Riders led it 48-12. They will go to 6-0 on the season. Great job by Coach Tom Gruning. On to Williams Stadium, where you bring you not just one shot of the East girls, but 2 shots of the East Flag girls, and we bring you not just one shot of Joe Yankee running to the left side from Mason City, but we will bring you another as Yankee will take it in for the touchdown after going down to the 1-yard line on that run. He takes it in, and Mason City steamrolling over East tonight big. Mason City a big winner. And also in the CIML tonight was... All right, I'm lost, I admit it. Fort Dodge over Southeast Polk, 29-0. I rallied. In Class 3A tonight, a couple of teams battling for the lead. In District 7, Jefferson, Scranton, Peyton Jourdan paying a visit to Johnston. Perhaps the biggest hit of the night comes in this pickup game on the sidelines. Get that kid a uniform. Johnston would dominate this one from the outset. Tommy Myers breaking loose on a 61-yard touchdown run. Myers had over 160 yards rushing in just over a quarter of play tonight. But not to be outdone. Here goes Brent Whips, and he'll get to the outside. 56 yards later, it's 26-0 Dragons. They go on to a big win tonight, 43-0 the final. Johnston now 4-1, 3-0 in the district. They are hot. On to Nevada, which has one of the state's most diverse bands. These guys can do it all, and the Cubs would play very well tonight, but undefeated Carroll strikes right here before halftime. The 11-yard touchdown run by Kevin Gross. This made it 21-18 Carroll at the half. That's our last report. Carroll trying to improve to 5-0 on the season. And there's the final, Carroll winning at 35-18. Shirts were optional in Adel tonight. ADM playing host to Seydel. The Tigers would strike first in this game. This is Rick Nelson on the carry. Great name, great run. Nelson going 25 yards for the touchdown, and ADM out to a quick 6-0 lead, but you can never say Seydel. Seydel Eagles rallying to win it 28-21 tonight. Great win for the Eagles. And undefeated Oskaloosa runs into a tough customer tonight, the Huskies of Winterset. This is Curtis Waddingham taking it in from a yard out. Winterset tying the game at 8 at that point, but Oski will come right back. Eric Svalstad will get loose. This a 39-yard touchdown run coming right at you to make it 14-8 Oski. And Oskaloosa, the winner over Winterset tonight, 40-28. No shortage of good matchups in Class 2A tonight. Let's get it started in Story City. The Norsemen of Roland Story fired up for a matchup with number 9 North Polk. Perhaps a little bit too much sugar in the diet there. Special teams helping North Polk take the early lead here. Chris Ryan on the punt return. He gets it down the sideline, 37 yards. Puts the Comets in business, and Eric DeGraff will take it from there, finding John Warner for the touchdown. 7-0 North Polk after one, but I'll tell you what, great rally. Roland Story, the winner tonight, 33-15. Terrific win for the Norsemen. Homecoming at Ballard Huxley. I'm not sure what this is all about. Maybe somebody else could put that into words for me. Undefeated Prairie.
In English only. And let me just say,
because it's 1 against 2 in Iowa City.
Yep.
Steve, the Iowa City boy. And it's also 3 against 4 in Class 4A. A couple hours east of here in Iowa City, we mentioned that game. West and City High colliding. And a half hour north of here, Dowling takes on Ames. It really doesn't get any bigger than this because all 4 teams are unbeaten. Standing by live in Ames for the Little Cyclones homecoming showdown is News Channel 8's Jason Elliott. Jason, there's a game going on behind you.
Yeah, a little bit of a ball game. In fact, 2 unbeatens on the sophomore squad between Ames and Dowling. But we're talking about the varsity here tonight. Of course, it's Ames against Dowling, number 3 and 4, 2 unbeatens. And the Little Cyclone head coach Kirk Datto joins us right now. And this has got to be a large game, I would think, on your schedule.
Well, you know, it's a game that we've certainly been looking forward to for a long time. And even though it's not a conference game, it's still something that's got our players pretty highly motivated.
Of course, last year, everyone's looking back to the state playoff game not too long ago at the Unidome where you guys lost by 1 point. Motivation, obviously, for your team.
Well, like I say, we've been thinking about it for 10 months now, and we've been trying to get back into this ball game, and it just couldn't have happened on a better night and 2 really outstanding teams.
How's your team different from 1 year ago?
Well, we've got a little bit better balance between run and pass. We've got some bigger kids this year and some people that can run the football. We've got an outstanding running back running behind a good line, so I think, you know, we've got a little bit better balance between run and pass.
A big game here tonight. Again, the key against Dowling in your mind?
Well, the key is for us to get out there and get their offense under control early because they got a lot of misdirection, you know, an outstanding quarterback that's being heavily recruited. And you know, I think the key is for our defense to get out there and play well in the first half.
Okay, Coach, best of luck. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Kirk Datto, the head coach, of course, of Ames High. But Matt Dillon is the first-year head coach of Dowling. He knows this is a big game for his team as well.
We were hoping we'd be undefeated at this point. Obviously, I think everybody is, but we're pretty happy with where we're at, especially defensively. We played an outstanding defensive game last year, considering that most of our defense graduated last year, and a bunch of new kids are playing for us this year. They just played lights out last week against Valley, and hopefully we'll do the same this week against Ames.
Again, 2 unbeaten squaring off here tonight at Ames High. 4-0 Dowling up against 5-0 Ames. We'll have all the highlights in a post-game report live here from the high school tonight at 10. Back to you, Heidi.
Okay, thanks, Jason. We'll also have highlights of that big showdown in Iowa City. I know Steve's waiting for that. And Cornell High in Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
I say the Pride loosely.
Please do. We didn't have cheerleaders tonight, so we had to make do.
Okay, well, we'll get right to the football highlights. Good news for Steve. Last year, when it was the battle of the Iowa City Titans, West was number 2 and City High was number 1 and West won. This year, the ratings were reversed and the outcome was 2. On 4th and goal at the 1, West cannot get in. City High with the tough defense. We'll wait till they get rid of their huddle. This is 4th and goal. City High comes up with a tough D. Steve, let's hear a cheer. They stop them. Well, after a fumble, City High will get the ball, and Jess Holland will get the call, and he'll run it in for a short yardage touchdown to make it 7-0 Little Hawks. There's Holland's TD. Still in the first, West will get back through the air. Nick Whistler with the touchdown pass that tied it up at 7. There's Whistler whistling it through to number 28. That's the way it was after the first period. Now City High will take to the air, and the touchdown catch will be by Mr. Khalil Hill, and that gave Iowa City a 14-7 lead at the half over West High, and this one was all Steve Carlin, folks, as City High comes up with the win, 28-7. The 3-4 clash took place in Ames. The third-rated Little Cyclones looking for revenge against Dowling. This game has been a great one. In the fourth quarter, Dowling is leading 28-25, and standing by live in Ames for a wrap-up on the night's excitement, which apparently is still going on, is our own Jason Elliott. Jason, are you there?
I tell you what, Heidi, there's no apparently about it. This game is still going on. Oh, about 3.5 minutes to go. Ames is driving. Let's get you up to speed with what's going on, because this is a packed house, an unbelievable game right here at Ames High School. It's Dowling, of course, up 7-zip in the first, but Ames strikes back. Scott Stevermer downfield to Mark Charter, 49 yards on the play to the Dowling 2 that led to a touchdown, tying the game up at 7 each. But Dowling comes back later in the second period. The handoff to number 6, Joe Essie, around the right side, and he scores from 9 yards out to make it 14-7. Dowling still in the second period, but Ames comes back. The Little Cyclones with the big play. Ben Ramont picked off. Number 24, Clint Bells, the INT, and he goes the other way down to the Dowling 6-yard line. That led to a touchdown, but Dowling led 17-14 at the break. In the second half, again, another big play for the Little Hawks. We obviously are going to show you that one, but right now we've got a 31-28 score with Dowling on top. Ames is driving. They are on apparently the 1-yard line of Dowling with just over 3 minutes to go, so we'll get you updated on this one, but right now Dowling on top by 3. Ames is driving. Heidi, back to you. A great game here at Ames.
Okay, Jason, take a break, and we'll see you later on tonight. Well, earlier this week, Roosevelt cracked the 4A top 10 for the first time this season. The number 10 Riders riding a 5-game winning streak to start the season. The game against Hoover over at Hutchins Stadium, it was 27-12 Riders at the half. This is David Jones sacking Hoover's quarterback for an 8-yard loss. Then Roosevelt's Juan Hooks recovers the fumble. The Riders at the Huskies' 20-yard line. Big D for Roosevelt tonight, but Big O too, as Cassius Cooper was all over the field. He had 117 yards rushing in the first half, 5 yards on the score right there. In the fourth quarter, Roosevelt is leading Hoover 41-24. That could be a final, I'm not sure, but we'll check on it for you. Mason City and East are a couple of teams tied for 6th in their respective conferences, both teams hoping to end losing skids. The game at Williams Stadium tonight, it was 32-0 at the half for Mason City. Early in the third quarter, Joe Yankee with the 29-yard run for glory. The Mohawks were romping 39-0 over East. On the first 2 seconds of the fourth quarter, this is Mason City quarterback Pete Warren. He'll sneak it in, and that was the final score of the game, and our photographer said he ran 100 yards to get that touchdown for us. 51-0 the final. That was Mason City over East. Elsewhere in the Central Iowa Metro League in the fourth, Marshalltown is leading Lincoln 26-0. It was Fort Dodge over Southeast Polk 32-0, and Ottumwa beat Urbandale 19-10. On to Class 3A and an interesting matchup in Johnston. The 10th-rated Dragons hosting Jefferson, both teams 3-1. Johnston, though, had already built a 20-0 lead when Brent Whips got his hips into it. Whips heads for the far sideline. 59 yards for the touchdown. The PAT missed, however, but it was still 26-zip. Johnston later in the second quarter, Brad Sewell would sneak it in. Then the Dragons converted for 2, and at the half it was Johnston all over Jefferson 34-0, and this ended up, as you might expect, Johnston winning big 43-0. This is Seydel at Adel DeSoto Minburn, another 3A game in District 7, a run by Ryan Sanger for 22 yards for the first touchdown of the game. Well, that set up the first touchdown of the game, and that was by Nick Grieve. It was just a couple of yards as Seydel would win this one in a close one, 28-21. In Class 2A, 9th-ranked North Polk took its 4-0 record on the road. The Comets against the Norsemen of Roland Story. This is North Polk's Chris Ryan fielding the punt. Coming up, Ryan will break for the far sideline, and Chris Ryan rambles 40 yards on the return. That helps set up a play which paid off. The first score of the game, North Polk quarterback Eric DeGraff hooking up with John Warner, a 3-yard touchdown pass for the Comets, and after the first quarter it was 7-0 North Polk, but Roland Story came back with the upset 33-24. 15. This is another 2A District 8 meeting in Carlisle. The Wildcats hosting Gilbert. Gilbert's Cody Franklin going 10 yards. That would set up a run for 6. The Tigers' Mike Krause going 8 yards right there, right in your living room. At the half, Gilbert led it 6-0. Carlisle's best chance to score in the first half was a missed field goal attempt. The final, Carlisle, though, wins it 7-6. We were just all over District 8 in Class 2A. Check out East Marshall at Bondurant Farrar. This is Justin Frost to Britt Davidson. East Marshall lights it up first. The PAT missed, and it's 6-0. Now in the second quarter, Josh Cornish runs it in for the Blue Jays. Bondurant kicks it through and takes a 7-6 lead. And in the fourth quarter, this one is not over with yet. Bondurant Farrar leading big over East Marshall 38-18. Last week in Pleasantville, Panorama was knocked off by the Trojans. Tonight, the 7th-rated Panthers were back at home against Woodward Granger. This is 1A action, 4th and goal for the Panthers, and Sean Moylan will dive in from the 1, and it's 7-0. Woodward Granger's Stephen Smith drops back coming up, and he's whacked by Justin Snyder. Justin Snyder with the sack, but Panorama wins this one 46-6. Another night of cruising for the #1 team in Class A. That would be Madrid, and this would be Larry Fuller, the first play of the game. Fuller gets the call, cuts around the right end to the outside, and he's gone. 41 yards for Larry Fuller. It's a touchdown. The PAT missed. 6-0 Tigers over Alden, which was basically all done in this one early. The very next time the Tigers got their hands on the ball, they would score again. Right up the middle for Ryan Thompson, 47 yards. But again, Madrid could not convert. 12-0 Tigers in the first quarter. And #1 Madrid just didn't need those extra points as they win it 54-0. Can we have a little music, please? It's time for the roll. We started off with a 14-12 win over West Marshall over Grundy Center. We'll tell you what happened in the American League Playoff Series and the National Hockey League.
Games really tonight, a matchup on Football Friday of 1 versus 2 in Iowa City and 3 against 4 in Ames. That's where we'll start. News Center 13's Todd Bailey is live with a preview of #4 Dowling and 3rd-ranked Ames. Todd?
That's right, Pat. This one has really shaped up to be a great matchup. Like you said, Ames #3, Dowling #4. Ames leads the National Conference in offense and defense. Dowling leads the American Conference in offense. They're second in defense. Both teams undefeated. Something's got to give. So what do you look for? Well, maybe a little bit of motivation. Ames and Dowling played last year in the semifinals of the playoffs, and Dowling beat them. They scored a couple of touchdowns late in the game to win by just a point up in the Unidome, and they went on to play in the state championship game. You don't think those Ames players have forgotten that, and the coaches reminded them all week, and Dowling coach Matt Dillon knows what the motivation is for the Little Cyclones.
Well, I think it'll probably motivate Ames more than it will Dowling, obviously, since we came out on the winning end last year. So I'm sure that that's really all they've talked about since last football season, and not wait until Dowling gets up there. So I'm sure they're going to be psyched sky high.
And, of course, all the fans are psyched sky high. We got some kids from Ames here. What do you say, guys? Little Cyclones? And Dowling on the other side. What's Dowling got to say?
Yeah, we will win.
I think it's obvious. It's obvious who's going to win. Which cheer was better, right? Dowling against Ames, 3 against 4. We'll have the highlights tonight at 10. With Carroll Maloney, I'm Todd Bailey, and we're live in Ames.
I think the Dowling kids are a little weak, Todd. That's my my own personal view. There's an
We'll get on it.
All right. There's an even bigger game tonight over in Iowa City. It's #1 versus #2. Defending 4A champ Iowa City West is again top ranked, and they're taking on Iowa City High. They're second. Last season, West won this sloppy regular season game 14-0. They also downed City High in the playoffs 14-3. We'll have exclusive live Star 13 highlights tonight on the Sports at 10. Besides that matchup, we'll also have these games on Football Friday. Of course, Dowling at Ames, Hoover and #10 Roosevelt, plus East hosts Mason City. In Class 2A, North Polk travels to Roland Story.
This week. I'm sorry.